Oh hi, welcome back to our channel. Today's video is a part of our tips and tricks tutorial series showing how I specifically do things based on questions that I am frequently asked when it comes to crochet. A little mini how does Andrea do it tutorial series. Today I'm going to be showing you how I do my continuous solid granny square. This is specifically what I like to do for my cardigan pockets, for my oversized cardigans. There's a lot of different projects and things that you can do with these squares, but overall that is what I am asked most, is what pockets do I do and how I do them. So that is what this video is going to show you. Little disclaimer, I am not going to show how I attach them to the cardigans. That is something that is personal preference. But if this is something that you do like and you are a fan of these little mini how to start videos, make sure you subscribe to our channel if you would like to see more. So to get started, I will be using this worsted 4-weight yarn. It is an acrylic by Big Twist. It does suggest using an H 5mm crochet hook. However, for the purpose of this video, I will be using what I personally prefer with my own tension, and that is going to be a J 6mm. This is of course my hook for my own personal collection. It is something that you will want to base on your own tension and what type of project you are doing this for. So you might need a smaller hook, a larger hook, and that is kind of what's great about this style pattern, is that you can really just use what it is that you like the most. If you find that your stitches are too tight, you can always use a larger hook. If you find that your stitches are too loose, you can size down. To start the solid granny square, what I am going to do is make a slip stitch and a chain 3. Now you can do a magic circle if you like, but this is my personal preference. I'm not a big fan of the magic circle, and this start it'll still get you a good finish. So what we will do is, with that slip stitch, again, anybody does them their own way, and that is perfectly fine. You will do a chain 3. I like to keep a nice loose but even controlled tension to make sure that my stitches are all the same. And then we are going to connect into this back bump, top bump of the very first chain that you made from your chain 3, and we are going to do a slip stitch in this. This is ultimately going to give you your circle that you need to start, because that is where you're going to be working your stitches. Now from here, I like to kind of pull this apart a little bit, just a smidge, because this is where you are going to be putting the remainder of your stitches for this first round. So since we are doing a square, you will want 4 sides to this, and I will show you how I accomplish that for this beginning. We will be doing a chain 3 for the start, and then I will show you what I do here on out. My chain 3 is going to count as my first double crochet to get my height that I want, and we are going to do another double crochet directly in the center of that circle to give us technically now 2, and then 1 more double crochet to get our first granny stitch or granny cluster. So I will put a chain 3. Now this is what I do at the very beginning. Again, there will be variances and changes throughout, but this is just what I do at the beginning. I then will kind of scooch and tuck my first cluster over a little bit. I personally prefer putting my next cluster stitch right here before that knot of my slip stitch. It is all personal preference, but that is what I like. And we are going to do another 3 double crochet, which will give us another cluster, or our second side of our square. You always want to make sure that you have your chains between, because your chains are what gives you your corners. And again, we are doing a chain 3. Now what I am going to do is I am going to work on this side of that knot, and I am going to put another chain 3, so another granny stitch or granny cluster. This will give me my third side. We're going to put another chain 3, and then we will put 1 last cluster directly in the center of that circle. And that is going to give us our square and our 4 sides. However, we have to have 1 more chain 3 to complete that 4th corner. Now what I am going to do is I am going to count and go into, it is a little hard to see that first one because it will kind of lie right there in the beginning, but you want to go into this very top chain, so our 3rd chain from that starter chain, and you will put a slip stitch in there. And this is going to give you your square. Now this is the same style square as what you would get if you were going to be doing a granny square standard. This is just how I start them, and this does give little spaces between each round, but this is how you start. And let's get on to round 1. So for round 1 here on out, I'm only going to do a chain 2 at the beginning. Now this will give me my height, but I feel like it controls it a little bit better with it being a solid square. If you've seen one of our previous videos on how I do a regular granny square where I do start my granny squares technically with a chain 3 regularly, but for the purpose of this one specifically, I do a chain 2. And I feel like that just gives a little better control at the beginning, and it hides the seam of where we start each round. So we are going to do a chain 2. We're going to get a little height from that. Now, as you can see right here, we have 2 more stitches from that cluster below. We are going to put a double crochet directly in one in top of each one of those. And then this is going to give us 3 stitches so far. So we have 1, 2, 3 because that chain 2 counts as 1. Now we're at our first corner, and we're going to put 1 double crochet and 2 double crochets in the corner. So this is going to start working that first side. Now in this first corner, what I am going to do is, as you've seen here, I had put 3 chains. That's not what I'm going to do any further. Again, this is my personal preference, and this is just how I recommend doing them and how I get my result that I get. We are going to put a chain 2 now, and then we're going to scooch that a little bit, and we're going to put another 2 double crochets in that corner. And that has completed that first side and given us our first corner. We now have 3 stitches because of that cluster below. We are going to put 3 double crochets, 1 on the top of each of the below stitches. And this is going to create part of side 2. We will then put the next corner, which is going to be 2 double crochets, a chain 2, and 2 more double crochets. And we are now on to the third side. And that's just ultimately what we're going to do the rest of the way around. I will put 3 double crochets, 2 in the corner, chain 2, 2 in the corner, 3 double crochets, 2 in the corner, chain 2, and then I will show you what we do when we get to the end. Okay, so let's be real, I'm always brutally honest with you guys. I definitely had a knot that I had to kind of get out of there. So now that we are at this point, we do have the first 2 double crochets in that corner and a chain 2. We are going to put 2 more double crochets here in this corner, and this is going to complete the 4 sides. And I will show you what we do to connect. We will go into the second chain, the top chain of that very first that we started with, and put a slip stitch. Now, if I were to personally have put 3, I feel like I would have gotten a little bit of an extra wobble there. That is just not my favorite with it. Not saying that's right or wrong, but this I feel like tends to help me kind of hide that seam just a little bit. So that is the completed end of round 1. I do not like to call this start the first row or first round. It is always just kind of my beginning. So from here on out, I will show you what we do each round afterwards, and it is super easy, very, very easy to get to the point where you need to get to. And yeah, let's go. So for this next round, we will do another chain 2. And then remember, we do not put a stitch into this first connection where we went because this chain 2 counts as a stitch. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochets because there are 4 stitches, and then we will do 2, chain 2, 2, and work our way around. So let's start here and put a double crochet, 2, 3, 4 additional, but this very first chain counts as 1, so right now we technically have 5. We're going to add 2 more into the corner, chain 2, 2 more into the corner, and then this is all we're going to do the rest of the way around. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you will work 7 double crochets, put 2 in the corner, chain 2, 2 in the corner, and work around, and I will meet you back at the beginning. Like I said, full transparency, guys, knots happen. Okay, like, I know, it's a nightmare, but let's get this cleaned up. Now, I'm at the point here where I did put my last double crochet and I have my 2 in the corner. I have 2 more, and then now we are here at this connection. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go again into that top chain that I put in at the very first, do a slip stitch, kind of pull a little snug and tight, and there we have it. So this right here gives us a better look at what the continuous solid granny square looks like. So from here, to be able to continue on, we're going to keep this kind of short and sweet. What we would do is any continuing rounds you want to do, you do them exactly the same. Chain 2, which gives you your first stitch. You keep it in the spot where you had connected, and then you will do double crochets at the top of each of those stitches, put 2 in the corner, chain 2, 2 in the corner, and you work that all the way around. Once you get back to the beginning, you connect with a slip stitch at the top of the next chain. And now, since everybody wants to see what I would typically do if I was going to be using a continuous solid granny square for a pocket, which this is my preferred method. I do have another video showing how to do a regular granny square and using that as a pocket, but this is my preferred method. So when you see my granny hexagon cardigans, these are the pockets that I use. I do a solid granny square. Now, as you can see, there are these little gaps. I personally like them. I think they look pretty. You're not really going to get a lot of craziness through them. They're not super gappy, where a regular granny square is going to be fairly gappy. But again, Andrea's favorite, personal preference. You do exactly what it is that you think looks best and what you like best. So at this point for this video, I don't really need to show you more continuous rounds to get this any larger. You ultimately will just make this as big as you want. I personally, with my own tension, will usually do 3 more rows or so that in total I have this first one, and then I will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 6 in height, or 5 additional past this first beginning part of the square. That's usually the size that I like for my oversized hexagon cardigans. But again, just go until you like the size that you get. I don't make my squares until my cardigan is already done, so that this way, if I wanted to, I could kind of hold it up to it and just be like, yep, you know what, that looks good. You can always add another round. You can take some out if you want to. Very, very easy to manipulate and work around and modify. Now, personally, what I do, you can leave this like this if you want to. I like to give a nice border edging. So what I am going to do is do a single crochet border around. I feel like it also helps me attach the pockets better by doing that. I don't know why. I just personally like it better. So I am going to show you how I do the single crochet border around and what it would look like. So to start my single crochet border, I would chain 1. Now I am going to put a single crochet in the top of this slip stitch where we connected. It's just what I want to do with mine. You do not have to. You can skip if you would like. You will have this chain 1, but ultimately when we get back around, I will show you the way that I skip it. We are now just going to do it the same way we would be working around to our corners, with a single crochet at the top of each stitch, just like we did with our double crochets. But when we get to the corner here, what I'm going to do is I am going to put 1 single crochet, I'm going to chain 2, and I'm going to put 1 more single crochet. It is just, again, personal preference, and that is the way that I like to do it. And then we're going to work a single crochet the rest of the way around. So single crochet down the second side, get to the point that you reach your corner. Now mind you, for a pocket, for a oversized cardigan, this would be quite a few more stitches, but again, here we are just for this little video. Now that we have reached this, we do 1 single crochet, chain 2, 1 single crochet. Now I am going to speed this up a little bit for you, and I will catch you back at the beginning. Now we're at the last few stitches, so what we're going to do is I have 4 more. I am going to put a single crochet in the top of each one. And then right here is where you can see that that chain 1 is, and then this right here is the beginning with that first single crochet. I am going to skip that chain 1, and I'm going to go into the top of that first single crochet, and I am going to connect there with a slip stitch. So this right here will get you your finished little continuous solid granny square. So from here you could block your square if you would like to. I personally don't block mine regardless of what style project it is, but specifically for those cardigans, I don't block my pocket squares. From here, what I would do is I would tie this off, weave in my ends, and then I'm just going to attach to the cardigan. That is all, again, personal preference on how you like to do so. I like to just cut a really long thing of yarn and use that to be able to whip stitch in. Maybe that could be a different video that I show at another time, but overall this is how you get your completed granny square. Now again, this is the solid granny. There is a lot of different projects you can do with this. The purpose of this video was again to show what I do for my pockets of my cardigans, but this is a really fun, very easy square. You can do blankets out of it, you can make bags out of it, you can do cardigans out of it. There's lots of really great things you can do. So I hope that this was helpful. If you have any further suggestions on different videos of tips and tricks, tutorials that you would like to see, let us know, and be sure to subscribe to the channel for more. Thanks, guys.